10 minutes before the wedding was set to begin, Shanjali sent me a text. Qiao Wei is sick, I have to go to the hospital, cancel the wedding for now, and you keep the guests calm. 300 guests were waiting for me to walk down the aisle, but Shanjali's mother held my hand and said, Tang Tang, Jiali is just a loyal person, don't make a scene today. I didn't cry, I just took off my wedding ring, saved the text and turned to look at Pei Yenxing by the altar. Does what you said a moment ago still count? Pei Yenxing stood by the side of the altar in a black suit. He was originally supposed to be the witness at today's wedding ceremony. He is also the grandson of my grandmother's old friend. Half a month ago, he came to see me once. He said, Wen Tang, if one day you find that Shanjali is not worthy, the engagement with the Pei family still stands. I laughed at how absurd he was back then. I said, I've loved him for 5 years, I'm not switching horses at the last moment. Pei Yenxing didn't push me, he said. Then I wish you happiness. If you're not happy, I'll still be here. I thought it was just a joke. Now Shanjali has left me stranded at the wedding venue with a single text message, and Pei Yenxing is really still here. At the backstage entrance, Shan's mother, Zhao Yufan, suddenly turned pale. Wen Tang, are you insane? Do you know what you're saying? I looked at her. I know. She lowered her voice, her tone full of warning. Zhou Li only went to take one look at Qiao Wei. Qiao Wei is unwell and alone in the hospital with no one to care for her. He is kind-hearted. If you make a scene today, it will disgrace the Shan family as well as yourself. I watched her grip my hand, her fingernails dug into my skin. It was not the first time she had told me to endure. On the day of her engagement, Qiao Wei got drunk and called Shanjali. Shanjali left me behind and drove off to pick her up. Zhao Yufan said, an ex can still be a friend, don't be petty. On the day of the wedding dress fitting, Qiao Wei sent a photo of herself on an 4 drip. Shanjali stayed with her until early morning. Zhao Yufan said, she's a delicate girl. What's wrong with Jiali taking care of her? 3 days before the wedding, Qiao Wei said she had a pain in her chest. Shanjali cancelled the rehearsal at the last minute. Zhao Yufan said, you're the future Mrs. Shan, so you need to be magnanimous. I had been magnanimous for 5 years and all I got in return was a cancellation text on the day of the wedding. I pulled my hand back. Aunt Shan, the one who was embarrassed today, wasn't me. She was stunned. I used to call her mom. This address of Aunt Shan made her face instantly turn grim. What did you call me? I ignored her. I forwarded Shanjali's text message to the wedding host, the hotel manager, and my best friend Wan Xing. Then I opened the wedding balance payment page. Originally, after today's ceremony, I was supposed to pay the final banquet balance, 380,000. I pressed pause. The hotel manager quickly ran backstage. Miss Wen hasn't Mr. Shan arrived yet. The guests are starting to talk. I handed him my phone. The groom cancelled the wedding. This is his text message. None of today's additional expenses will be settled without my signature. The manager's face changed after reading it. Zhao Yufan grew anxious. Wen Tang, what do you mean? The guests have all arrived, the banquet has started, and now you're saying you won't settle the bill? I looked at her. The Shan family can settle it. Her voice turned shrill. You're the one who wanted a proper wedding. Now you want the Shan family to foot the bill. I almost laughed. From the engagement to today, I booked the venue, made all the arrangements, paid the deposits, bought the wedding dress, and even covered the cost of Shanjali's parents' outfits. Now that the groom has run off, she's blaming me for not paying the final balance. I said, whoever cancels will bear the responsibility. Zhao Yufan wanted to continue her tirade. Suddenly the sound of the master of ceremonies came from outside. Dear guests, please wait a moment. The wedding ceremony is about to begin. The wedding march began to play. Everyone backstage was watching me. I lifted the hem of my wedding dress and walked toward the entrance of the hall. Zhao Yufan caught up with me. Wen Tang, you mustn't go around spreading this. I stopped and looked back. Then you tell Shanjali to come back right now. She was speechless. I walked to the entrance of the auditorium. The heavy door slowly opened. 300 pairs of eyes turned to look at me. At the end of the red carpet, the spot where Shanjali should have been standing was empty. The murmurs in the guest seating grew louder. I walked forward step by step. No father to hold my hand, no groom waiting for me. Only Pei Yenxing stood by the ceremonial platform, his gaze calm as he looked at me. The master of ceremonies was clearly flustered. Miss Wen, Mr. Shan. I raised my hand to interrupt him. Take the microphone, everyone. The Wedding will proceed as scheduled. An uproar broke out among the audience. Zhao Yufan rushed in through the side door. Wen Tang, don't do anything crazy. I cast my phone screen to the large display. Shenjeli's text message was clear as day. Qiao Wei is sick. I have to go to the hospital. Cancel the wedding for now. You handle the guests for me. The audience completely erupted. The expressions of the Shen family relatives changed dramatically. I looked at everyone. Today Mr. Shenjeli chose to cancel the wedding and accompany his ex, Miss Qiao Wei. I respect that choice. I paused for a moment, then I turned to look at Pei Yenxing. So, I will also make a choice. Pei Yenxing walked up to the ceremonial platform. He whispered to me, Wen Tang, have you made up your mind? I nodded. Yes, I've made up my mind. He looked at me without the smugness of taking advantage of someone in a vulnerable position, nor the pity of offering charity, only respect. Then I'll keep you company. I picked up the phone. The wedding is not cancelled. The silence beneath the stage was terrifying. I looked at the empty seat at the end of the red carpet and said, word by word, the groom is being replaced. That wedding did not end up becoming a farce. Pei Yenxing stood beside me and took the microphone from the MC. He said, all choices made today are decided by Ms. Wen Tang herself. I respect her and am willing to take on all ensuing responsibilities. The statement was very simple, yet it was more steadfast than any I love you Shenjeli had uttered in 5 years. The ceremony did not go through all the originally planned emotional segments. The rings prepared by Shenjeli were not exchanged. The video of my and Shenjeli's relationship was not played. There were no speeches from the parents. I did only 3 things. First, publicly confirmed the fact that Shenjeli called off the wedding. Second, announced the dissolution of my engagement to Shenjeli. Third, accepted Pei Yenxing's marriage proposal. After the wedding ended, the guests did not leave immediately. Some stayed to watch the spectacle, some showed sympathy, some even had looks of excitement in their eyes. I don't care. I walked into the hotel's financial office wearing my wedding dress. The manager looked at me cautiously. Miss Wen, most of the banquet has already been served tonight and the cost. I spread the contract open. The basic banquet cost will be settled based on the portion used. The drinks added last minute by the Shen family, the upgrade of the wedding favors and the extra tables. Without my signature they will not be deducted from my account. The manager nodded. Understood. Zhao Yufan rushed in, her face pale with anger. Wen Tang, how dare you still count the money? I looked up. Why wouldn't I dare? You humiliated the Shen family in public and then turned around to marry someone else. Have you no shame? I printed out the text message from Shenjeli and placed it in front of her. He cancelled the wedding first. I reserve the right to seek compensation. Zhao Yufan gritted her teeth. Jelly will come back. When he does, you'd better give him an explanation. I laughed. Explain what? That I didn't just stand there waiting after he ran away from the wedding. She reached out to snatch the contract. Pei Yenxing's assistant Zhu Huai blocked the way. Ms. Zhao, please do not obstruct Miss Wen from handling the contract. Only then did Zhao Yufan suddenly remember that Pei Yenxing was not someone she could freely insult. Her expression changed repeatedly. Finally she left with the words, Wen Tang, you'll regret this. After she left, Pei Yenxing stood at the door and asked me, do you need some rest? No, I said. He handed me a document, prenuptial agreement. I had a lawyer prepare a basic version overnight. You can take your time reading it, there's no rush to sign. I took it. The document was very clear. During the marriage, each party's individual property shall remain separate. Pei Yenxing does not interfere with my career. I do not assume the Pei family's debts. Marriage is not a transaction, but boundaries are clearly set. I look up at him. Did you even prepare this? He said calmly. Not for today. I had it prepared half a month ago after you rejected me. I was stunned. He said, Wen Tang, I'm not showing up only after you've been abandoned. I've been waiting for you to make your own choice. This sentence made the tip of my nose suddenly sting. I didn't cry. Today I didn't want to shed tears where the Shen family could see. The next morning Pei Yenxing and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. No big spectacle, no journalists, just me, him, Zhu Huai and Wan Xing. Wan Xing was holding a document bag, her eyes red. Tang Tang, have you really thought it through? I nodded. I've thought it through. She glanced at Pei Yenxing. Mr. Pei, let me make this clear first. Tang Tang is not a tool for you to slap Shenjeli in the face. If you treat her badly, I will call you out on it. Pei Yenxing said very seriously. Feel free to keep an eye on me. Wanxing paused for a moment, then said quietly to me, he seems more reliable than Shen Jiali. I smiled. Getting the marriage license was quick. When I got the little red book in hand, I didn't post it on social media. I just took a photo and saved it in a private album. At the same time, Shen Jiali finally came back. He called me 12 times. I didn't answer. On the 13th, he sent a message. Wen Tang, what exactly is your problem? Qiao Wei was in a critical condition yesterday and I was just at the hospital with her. The wedding can be rescheduled, so why did you have to embarrass me in public? I look at the screen. 5 years of relationship, left behind on the wedding day. His first words are still that I embarrassed him. I replied to him, no rescheduling, no reconciliation, the engagement is cancelled, and the costs will be calculated separately. He quickly wrote back, do you think I'll believe it just because you put on a show with Pei Yenxing? I looked at the marriage certificate beside me. Take a photo, send it. It's not an act. There was a long silence on the other end. Then he called. I answered on the other end of the line. His breathing was heavy. Wen Tang, are you crazy? Are you really marrying him? Yes, because I went to see Qiao Wei. Not because you went to see her, I said. It's because you had me hold the guest steady for you at the wedding. His voice turned cold. You know very well that Qiao Wei is not in good health. I asked, how is she now? She's fine now. That's good. He seemed provoked by my calmness. Wen Tang, don't be stubborn. If you come back now, we can still keep this matter under control. I laughed. Shen Jiali, did you really think I would wait for you? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. I said, but I've already left. Shen Jiali arrived at the hotel that afternoon. He came right when I was organizing the wedding contract. He pushed the door open and walked in, still wearing yesterday's suit, his tie askew and his eyes bloodshot when he saw Pei Yenxing sitting next to me, his face completely darkened. Wen Tang, what do you mean by having him here? I didn't look up. This is the meeting room I booked. I'm asking what the two of you are supposed to be. Pei Yenxing closed the document. Lawful husband and wife. Shen Jiali's face turned pale. Then he let out a cold laugh. Wen Tang, you really dare to do anything just to spite me. I finally looked up at him. It was quite bold of you to cancel the wedding for Qiao Wei. He frowned. I told you she was sick. I put down the pen in my hand. Acute stomach pain. He paused. How do you know? Aunt Zhao said so. A flicker of unease crossed his face. I opened my phone and pulled up Qiao Wei's Moments feed. At 11 last night, she had posted a photo. In the photo, she is lying on the bed, with medical tape on the back of her hand. The caption reads, luckily you still came. Shen Jiali glanced at it and immediately said, see, she really is on. And 4. I zoomed in on the photo. In the lower left corner of the background there is a gold logo, Yunlan Sanatorium Hotel, not a hospital. I pushed the phone in front of him. Shen Jiali, which hospital have you ever seen that places scented candles at the bedside? His face changed color. Maybe it's a private ward. I laughed. You really know how to make excuses for her. Shen Jiali rubbed his brow irritably. Even if it's just a stomachache, she's out there alone. How can I not care? You can, I said. At least on the wedding day you can. He was cornered by me. A few seconds later his voice softened. Tang Tang, I know you've been wronged, but you shouldn't be so impulsive. Who is Pei Yenxing? Do you really know him? If you marry him, what if you're taken advantage of? Pei Yenxing cast a glance at him. Mr. Shen, Wen Tang is not an object to be used by anyone who wishes to do so. Shen Jiali's face turned ashen. When we speak to each other, it's not your turn to interrupt. I stood up. It's my turn now. He looked at me and for the first time, there was a trace of panic in his eyes. Wen Tang, in the past when he called me that, my heart would soften. Not anymore. I took out a list. The total wedding cost is 126 million. I paid 890,000 for the deposit, venue, planning, wedding dress, and photography. The additional expenses from the Shen family for drinks, relatives' accommodation, and upgraded wedding favors total 370,000, which are currently unpaid. Shen Jiali, you were the one who called off the wedding at the last minute. So we'll determine the financial responsibility separately. He looked at me in disbelief. You want to settle accounts with me? Yes, we've been together for 5 years and now you want to settle accounts with me. I countered. When you called off the wedding, did you consider our feelings? He was left speechless. Just then Qiao Wei called him. The screen lit up. The note read, "Wei Wei." I glanced over. Shenjeli instinctively wanted to hang up. I said, "Answer it." His face turned unpleasant. I turned around and walked straight out. Just as I reached the door, I heard Qiao Wei's weak voice on the phone. "Jelly, where are you? My stomach hurts again. Can you come keep me company?" Shenjeli looked at me. I also looked at him. He held his phone, hesitating. This time he didn't leave immediately, but he left yesterday, so hesitating now is pointless. I closed the door for him. In the evening, Shen's mother took some people to Pei Yanxing's residence. It wasn't the old Pei family mansion, but the bridal suite I was temporarily staying in. She couldn't get through the door, so she started cursing downstairs. When Tang come out, "What do you mean by marrying another man? The Shen family hasn't agreed to annul the engagement yet." I stood on the balcony watching her. Beside her was Shen Shan, Shenjeli's cousin. Shen Shan looked up and saw me, an awkward expression on her face. Tang, I'm just worried. Come down first and we can talk properly," I said. "Let's talk in the mediation room tomorrow." Shen's mother cried out, "You must return the bride price and the money for renovating the wedding house. You suddenly married someone else, making the Shen family a laughingstock. You need to compensate for these losses." I took out my phone and started recording. "Ms. Zhao, I've recorded everything you just said. Bring the ledger tomorrow when we talk." She was stunned. I turned and went back into the room. Pei Yanxing sat in the living room and handed me a glass of warm water. Feeling unwell, I took it. "A little. Regret it?" "Not at all." He nodded. "Then keep moving forward." I looked at him and suddenly asked, "Why are you willing to stand on the ceremonial platform?" Pei Yanxing was silent for a moment. "Because your grandmother wrote to my grandmother before she passed away. She said that if when Tang were ever looked down upon, she hoped the Pei family would at least give her a place to turn around." I was stunned. Grandma never told me. It turns out that somewhere out there someone had prepared a fallback for me without my knowing. I gripped my glass tighter. "Then I have even less reason to waste it." The Shen family banquet was arranged for the evening of the third day. Nominally, it was to discuss follow-ups to the wedding. In reality, it was to gang up on me. When I arrived at the Shen family's old residence, the room was filled with relatives. Shen's mother, Zhao Yufan, sat at the head of the table, her eyes red and swollen as if she had suffered a great injustice. Shenjeli sat beside her. Qiao Wei was also there. She wore a white knitted dress, her face pale, holding a cup of warm water in her hands. Seeing me enter, she immediately stood up. Tang, I'm sorry, it's all because of my weak body that caused trouble for your wedding." I looked at her. "Just call me Miss Wen." Her face turned pale. Shenjeli frowned. "When Tang, there's no need for you to target her." I nodded. "Then I'll target you." The room instantly fell silent. Shen's mother slammed the table. "Look at yourself right now. You just got your marriage certificate and dare to speak to Jelly like this. Don't forget, your marriage to Pei Yanxing is far from clear. People outside say you latched onto a rich man and are rushing to get revenge." I sat down and placed the document bag on the table. "Today we're not talking about what people say outside, we're talking about money." Auntie immediately interrupted. Tang, a woman shouldn't be too calculating. Jelly leaving on the wedding day was wrong, but Qiao Wei really wasn't feeling well. You turning around and marrying someone else doesn't look good either," I said. "So whoever doesn't look good is responsible for their own bad look." Mother Shen sneered. "Fine, let's settle it then. Return the betrothal gift my family gave you, the money for the wedding house renovation, and compensate for the damage to the Shen family's reputation caused by you switching the groom at the last minute." I opened the file. First, the betrothal gift of 280,000 yuan. The Shen family transferred it to me on the engagement day, and the next day I transferred it back to Shenjeli's account for his company's cash flow with the note marked as temporary loan. I put the transfer records on the table. Shenjeli's face changed dramatically. Shen's mother retorted stubbornly that money still belongs to the family. Second, the total cost for the wedding house renovation was 468,000, of which 410,000 was paid by me and 58,000 by the Shen family. I will release the renovation payment records. Third, the down payment for the wedding house was made by Shen Jelly before marriage, and the property rights have nothing to do with me, so I won't fight for it. However, the money I paid for the renovation, appliances, and soft furnishings needs to be returned or compensated at a discounted price. The relatives from the Shun family looked at each other in bewilderment. Shun's mother had an unpleasant look on her face. You volunteered to do the renovations back then and now you want money. I looked at her. I thought that was going to be my wedding house back. Then, Qiao Wei suddenly said softly, Tang Tang, if you feel wronged I can slowly pay you back for the renovations, please don't make things difficult for Jelly. I look at her. And you still, she bites her lip, I just want to do my part. Transfer it now. Her face instantly froze. I pushed the payment QR code over. Transfer 410,000 first. The room was so quiet that the sound of a cup touching the table was jarring. Shinjeli said in a low voice, Enough. I looked at him. How is that enough? Isn't she the one who wants to be devoted? Qiao Wei's tears fell. Jelly, that's not what I meant. Shinjeli indeed shielded her. When Tang, don't take your anger out on her. I laughed. She sat here participating in the negotiations, yet wanted to pay nothing and take no responsibility at all. Shun Shan finally spoke. Aunt, the renovation money was indeed paid by Tang Tang. That needs to be accounted for clearly. Shun Mu glared at her. Whose side are you on? Shun Shan said softly, I'm just stating the facts. I continued to take out the next page. Wedding expenses. I have currently paid 890,000 because Shinjeli unilaterally cancelled the wedding via text message. This led to changes in the ceremony, guest confusion, and additional hotel coordination. I will compile these losses and request a reasonable share. Shinjeli looked at me. When Tang, you really feel like a stranger to me now, I said. So do you? There was a flash of pain in his eyes. Qiao Wei suddenly stood up. I know you all blame me, I'll just leave. She had only taken 2 steps. When her body went limp and she fell into Shinjeli's arms, Shinjeli caught her immediately. Wei Wei, Shun's mother hurriedly shouted, get her to the hospital quickly. I watched this scene without moving. Shinjeli picked up Qiao Wei and as he passed by me his tone was as cold as ice. When Tang, if anything happens to her I will never forgive you. I picked up my bag. Then don't. He walked away holding Qiao Wei. The relatives in the room were also in disarray. I stood up and put away the documents. Shun Shan chased after him. Tang Tang. I stopped. Her expression was very complicated. That money, I really didn't know about it before. It's not too late to know now. She hesitated for a moment. Qiao Wei was acting like that just now, like she was faking it. I glanced at her. It doesn't matter if it looks real. What matters is that she will always pretend until she slips up. Qiao Wei wasn't hospitalized. After Shinjeli took her to the hospital, the doctor only prescribed stomach medication. The next day she posted on her Moments. The photo shows her curled up on the sofa with a glass of hot water beside her. Caption, I don't want a title, I just hope he won't be put in a difficult position. Within 10 minutes of this post going up, Shun's mother liked it. Someone commented below, you're too kind. Another person said, to truly love someone is to let them go. I looked at that moment on WeChat and smiled. She didn't want a title but she wants my wedding house because that. Same morning I received a call from property management, MS, when there's a record of a MS, Qiao using the access card for the wedding house. She claims Mr. Shun authorized her stay, but there are items registered under your name inside. We need to confirm. I put down my coffee. Did she go in? Not yet. The security stopped her. I went to the wedding room immediately. That apartment was bought by Shinjeli before the marriage. From the renovation design to the furniture and appliances, I personally picked almost everything. I had thought that place would become our home. When I arrived at the entrance, Qiao Wei was sitting in the lobby downstairs. She was wearing a mask and looked pale. Shinjeli stood nearby, arguing with the property manager. I'm the property owner. What's the problem with me bringing someone in? The property manager said awkwardly, Mr. Shun, the renovation and some items are registered under Miss Wen's name. We're just following procedure. Shinjeli saw me and his face darkened. You've come just in time. Move your things out. I looked at Qiao Wei. She's moving in. Shinjeli frowned. She's not in good health and needs a quiet place to recuperate for the time being. I nodded. So you gave her the wedding room you prepared for me to recover in? Qiao Wei quickly explained. Sister Tang Tang, it's not what you think. I'm only staying for a few days. Jelly said it's close to the hospital. I look at her. It's quite close to that private club you went to yesterday. Her expression changes. Shinjeli is displeased. Don't be sarcastic. I didn't waste any more words. I took out the list I had prepared in advance. All the appliances, furniture, soft furnishings, kitchenware, curtains, and bedding in this house are registered under my name as the pair. If you want to let her live here, fine, but pay me the depreciated value first. Shinjeli's expression was grim. Wen-Tang, do you really have to calculate it this way? Yes, I took out the access card, cut it in front of them. Besides, this is my access card, I won't be coming in anymore, and don't let her touch my things either. Qiao Wei lowered her head, tears falling. Jelly, maybe just forget it, I won't stay here, I don't want to be the reason you two argue. Shinjeli immediately said, you don't have to leave. I looked at him. 5 years ago he had protected me like this too. Back then I thought I was the one he had firmly chosen. Now it's someone else's turn to stand in that position, yet I find that position is not as valuable as I had imagined. I said to the property manager, please arrange a time for me to move out my personal belongings. I will sign off on the entire moving process to avoid any future disputes. The manager nodded. Shinjeli suddenly grabbed my wrist. Wen-Tang, do we have to be like this? I looked down at his hand. He quickly let go. You're already married to Pei Yanxing and you're still going to quibble with me over this. I said, who I marry doesn't affect me getting back what's mine. He was speechless. Just then Qiao Wei's phone rang. She turned away to answer the phone. Her voice was very low, but I heard one sentence. The house hasn't been moved into yet, don't rush. I looked up at her. She realized I had heard and her face instantly turned pale. Shinjeli frowned. Who was on the phone? Qiao Wei hurriedly said, he's my friend. I didn't call her out. Some lies need to be left alone a little longer. That night, Qiao Wei made the first move. She posted a long heartfelt message. The title is, on the wedding day she turned and married the city's richest man. While I became the villain, she portrayed herself as a sick and vulnerable ex. He said he was just suffering from a stomachache and asked for help. He said Shinjeli valued loyalty and came to the hospital. He said Wen-Tang remarried at the wedding venue, ruining the Shin family's dignity. He said she doesn't want any status, only hopes Wen-Tang will stop forcing Shinjeli. The comment section quickly became lively. Remarrying on the wedding day is just too harsh. Did the female lead already have something going on with the rich guy? The ex didn't get sick on purpose though. Shinjeli is also quite pitiful. Wan Xing was so angry that she called me. How dare she still post it? I said, let her post. You're not going to respond. I will, but I won't curse. I turned on the computer and created a folder, named it Evidence of Qiao Wei's Rumors. First, Shinjeli's text message cancelling the wedding. Second, a photo of Qiao Wei at the Recovery Hotel. Third, the property access records. Fourth, a transcript of her phone call today, with the time and content written down from memory. The fifth one is a screenshot of her social media post. I didn't send it immediately. At 11 p.m., Shinjeli messaged me. Qiao Wei got criticized so badly she's crying. Can you stop targeting her? I look at the screen, so it turns out she posted rumors online targeting me. I reply. She recovered quite quickly. Shinjeli hadn't replied for a long time. Finally, he sent a message. Wen-Tang, you've become very harsh. I smiled. Mean is mean. Better than continuing to be a fool. The next morning, I issued a statement. No long-winded explanations, only 3 pictures. The first one, a text message Shinjeli sent to me on the day of the wedding. Qiao Wei is sick. I have to go to the hospital. Cancel the wedding for now. You keep the guests calm for me. The second one, an enlarged screenshot of Qiao Wei's so-called hospital bed photo. The background logo is clearly visible. Yunlan Convalescence Hotel. Third image, property access registration. Qiao Wei attempted to enter the wedding room of Shinjeli and me, citing Mr. Shin's authorized recuperation as the reason. The caption consists of just one sentence. I cancelled the waiting, not the wedding. Whoever bails at the last minute is responsible for the explanation. After this statement was released, the tide of public opinion turned instantly. Wait, the groom cancelled via text message on the wedding day. An ex isn't a hospital, but a recovery hotel. Move into the wedding room. That's just absurd. It suddenly makes sense why the bride would turn around and marry someone else. Qiao Wei quickly deleted her post, but screenshots were already spreading everywhere. Shinjeli called me. I answered. His voice was very deep. Do you really have to take this matter online? I asked. Was I the one who sent it first? Qiao Wei is just emotionally broken. I'm human too and I can break down as well, I said, but I didn't spread rumors. He paused. That photo of her was indeed taken at the convalescent hotel, but she really wasn't feeling well at the time. Then just say she wasn't feeling well, don't say she was so sick that she had to snatch away someone else's wedding groom. His breathing grew heavier. When Tang, we need to talk. The lawyer is present. His tone turned cold. Now that Pei Yenxing has your back, you're feeling this confident. I laughed. Shenjali, my confidence doesn't come from him. Then why? Weren't you like this before? I look out the window. Because I loved you before. The other end of the line fell silent. I continued. Not anymore. I hung up that afternoon. Pei Yenxing did something. He didn't curse Shenjali for me, nor did he use the Pei family's power to intimidate anyone. He simply had the Pei family's PR team issue a very brief statement. Mr. Pei's marriage to MS, when is based on mutual consent, the old agreement between the two families has existed for many years and the relevant choices were made by MS, when herself. Please refrain from using the term social climbing to insult a woman who was abruptly abandoned at her wedding ceremony yet still maintained her dignity. The statement made no show of wealth, no expression of love, yet all the focus was redirected back onto me. After reading it, Wanxing sent a message. Pei Yenxing is a decent man, he gets 10 points from me for now. I replied, you sound like you're judging, she said, I am vetting it for you. In the evening I went to the law firm. Wanxing and attorney Qin had already organized the preliminary materials. Attorney Qin said, although you and Shenjali are not legally married, the engagement, wedding, joint renovation, and financial transactions can form the basis for civil recourse. The key pieces are contracts, transfer records, and chat logs. I nodded. I have all of them. For the defamation part by Qiao Wei, we can start by sending a cease and desist letter. Go. Wanxing looked at me. Tang, are you really not sad? I hesitated for a moment. It's sad. How could it not be sad? 5 years of a relationship. I stayed with Shenjali from the age of 23 to 28. When he was struggling most with starting his business, I helped him negotiate with suppliers. When his mother was hospitalized, I ran around taking care of everything. When he got his first big order, we celebrated by eating noodles at a roadside stall. All of that was real, but on the wedding day his choice was also real, I said. But being sad can't get my money back for me, nor can it restore my dignity. Wanxing took my hand. Then get it back. In the evening, Shenjali went to the hospital to check the records. Whether it was due to his own suspicion or pressure from public opinion, in any case, he finally discovered that Qiao Wei had no emergency room record at all that day, only a private therapy receipt from the Yunlan Wellness Resort Hotel. Item, soothing stomach massage. Time, 1 hour before the wedding. Shenjali sent me a message. She really didn't go to the hospital that day. I look at this sentence. Without a hint of surprise, he sends another message. But she said she really hurts. I laughed. He was still making excuses for her. A few minutes later, he sent a third message. When Tang, if I had known that day that her condition wasn't that serious, I wouldn't have left. I replied to him, you didn't confirm before you left. This time he didn't reply again after Shenjali began to suspect Qiao Wei. Qiao Wei was the first to panic. She called him repeatedly. Shenjali didn't answer, so she came to find me. We met downstairs from my studio. I was checking out the site for the new project when she stood at the doorway in a white dress, pale-faced, looking as if she might faint at any moment. Tang, let's talk, I said. I don't have private talks with people who spread rumors. Her eyes immediately welled up with tears. I didn't mean it, I was just too scared people were cursing me online, so I posted those words. I looked at her. When you posted that, you were cursing me. She lowered her head. I know I was wrong. Post the apology online. She bit her lip. Could you please not force me? I've lost my job now and my friends won't talk to me. Jelly won't answer my calls either. I really have nothing left. I didn't say anything. She suddenly looked up. But you're different. You have Pei Yenxing. You've already married the richest man in the city, so why are you still holding on to me? I smiled. So in your eyes, now that I have a new marriage, I should let go of the harm you've caused me. She was speechless. I continued. Qiao Wei, I'm not the one holding on to you. You're the one who reached into my wedding, my house, my reputation. I'm just prying your fingers off now. The fragility on her face finally cracked. Do you really think Pei Yenxing truly loves you? A man like him only finds it amusing that you switched grooms at the wedding. Once the novelty wears off, he'll still abandon you. I looked at her. That's my business. She was stunned. I said, but the apology you owe me is your business. I walked around her and entered the studio. That same evening, Qiao Wei issued an apology statement. It was very brief. I deeply apologize for posting inaccurate content due to losing control of my emotions, which caused distress to MS. When she did not admit to faking illness, she did not admit to trying to move into the marital home, she did not admit to being the third party in the relationship, but enough, because the lawyer's letters will keep coming. Meanwhile, Shenjiali arrived. He stood at the studio entrance holding a hospital record in his hand. As soon as he saw me, his first words were, I checked, she wasn't on emergency duty that day. Yeah, I said. He seemed unable to bear my calm. You knew all along. I doubt it. Why didn't you tell me? I find it absurd. Shenjiali, on the day of the wedding when I told you Qiao Wei was at the wellness hotel, did you believe me? His face froze. I continued, you didn't, you just thought I was mean, jealous and immature. He said quietly, I'm sorry. I didn't respond. He took a step forward. Tang, I was wrong that day. I shouldn't have left you behind. Can we talk again? I looked up at him. Talk about what? Talk about us. We're over. His Adam's apple bobbed. Your marriage with Pei Yanqing isn't real. You're just angry at me. I took the copy of our marriage certificate out of my bag. It's legally valid. His face turned pale. Do you love him? This question is ridiculous. On the day of his wedding, when he left, he didn't ask himself whether he still loved me now that I'm gone. He started asking about my love. I said, that's none of your business. His eyes reddened slightly. But you loved me. Yes, I said, so you know better than anyone how to hurt me. He stood there as if struck by those words. After a long while he said, what if I break things off with Qiao Wei? I shook my head. That's your business. What if I pay compensation, apologize, and publicly admit my mistake? That's also your responsibility. Then what do you want me to do? I looked at him. I want you to stop treating AA as a way to win me back. He fell completely silent that night. I received an anonymous email. Attached were the chat logs between Shenjiali and Qiao Wei from the night before his wedding. Qiao Wei asked, will you really come tomorrow? Shenjiali replied, if you're not feeling well, I won't leave you alone. Qiao Wei then asked, what about the wedding? Shenjiali replied, I'll handle it. Tong is sensible and will keep things under control at the venue. As I read the last sentence, my fingers slowly tightened. It turns out he wasn't called away at the last minute. He had long since left himself an escape route, and my being considerate was his escape route. I forwarded the anonymous email to Attorney Qin. Attorney Qin quickly responded, the chat records need to have their source verified, but the content can serve as a lead. Don't disclose everything yet to avoid disputes over the source. I replied, understood. The next day I went to the wedding hotel. The manager looked somewhat embarrassed when he saw me. Miss Wen, we didn't expect what happened that day either. I said, I'll request a confirmation of the day's procedures. He led me to an empty banquet hall. The red carpet was still there. Some of the flowers at the flower gate had already withered. I stood at the end of the red carpet, looking at the spot that should have belonged to Shenjiali. It was empty, but when I stood there that day for the first time, I wasn't so afraid. The manager brought over the process chart. Mr. Shen did communicate with us the day before the wedding, saying he might adjust the entrance time last minute, and that we should wait for the bride's entrance before deciding what to do. I looked up. He said that in advance. The manager nodded. At the time, we thought it was a surprise arrangement. I smiled. How ironic. At my wedding, unbeknownst to me, the groom had already arranged a contingency plan for his absence. The manager said in a low voice, we can provide these communication records to the lawyer in accordance with the procedures. Thank you. After leaving the hotel, I went to the Pei family's study. Pei Yanqing was reviewing documents. I placed the process confirmation on the table. He wasn't planning to come in the first place. Pei Yanqing looked up at me. Are you sad? A little. He closed the file. Do you want me to scold him for you? I was taken aback. He was very serious. I can listen. I suddenly laughed. No need for now. He poured me a cup of tea. Wen Tang, you don't need to stay calm all the time in front of me. I held the cup in my hands and was silent for a long time. Then she said, it's not that I don't want to cry, I just don't want to waste any more tears on him. Pei Yanqing nodded. Then save your energy for the lawsuit. I smiled again. He is the kind of person whose comfort isn't sentimental, yet it works. We had dinner together in the evening. The Pei family's dining table was very quiet. None of Shen's mother's scrutinizing looks, no comparisons with relatives. No one asks me when I'll have children, whether I can help my husband, or if I understand the rules. After the meal, Pei Yenxing handed me an old letter. Your grandmother wrote it to my grandmother. The letter paper had already yellowed. On it was written, Tang Tang has too gentle a nature and values relationships too deeply. If she ever finds herself trapped by love in the future, may there be someone by her side to remind her not to lose herself in it. After reading it, my eyes finally grew red. I was only 20 when my grandmother passed away. She never met Shen Jiali, yet she seemed to have known all along that I would wrong myself for love. Pei Yenxing said, I'm standing at the altar not to interrupt the wedding. It's because back then they all hoped you would have a second choice. I folded the letter carefully. Then I will walk the right path. On the third day, Shen's mother did come. She knelt at the Pei family's doorstep. This time she didn't curse, she cried, Tang Tang, auntie was wrong. I shouldn't have pressured you on the wedding day. Please, for the sake of how long we've gotten along, drop the lawsuit. Jelly is being condemned by everyone now, and the Shen family can't hold their heads up. I stood inside the door and did not go out to help her up. Ms. Zhao, rise and speak. She did not get up. If you won't agree, I'll remain on my knees. The servants of the Pei family all looked at me. I am calm. Then you're kneeling at the wrong door. The one who should apologize is not me, but your son. Shen's mother wept even harder. Jelly already knows he was wrong. He has broken it off with Qiao Wei. It's only been a few days since you and Mr. Pei got your license. It's not too late to turn back. I looked at her. Return where? She said urgently. Back to the Shen family. I've had someone tidy up the wedding house again and Qiao Wei won't go there anymore. You are still the Shen family's daughter-in-law. I smiled. I'm not anymore. Her voice grew urgent. But you can't actually end up with Pei Yenxing, a family like that. How could you ever fit in there? You and Jiao Li share 5 years of history. I said, 5 years of history isn't a 5-year contract of servitude. Mother Shen's face froze. I took out a document, recovery of wedding expenses, depreciation of the wedding house renovation, repayment of Shen Jiali's loan, and an apology with compensation for Qiao Wei's defamation. Of these 4 matters, not one will be dropped. She stared blankly at me. Are you really this cruel? I shook my head. I've simply finally stopped being soft. The first mediation took place in the mediation room next to the courthouse. Shen Jiali arrived. Shen's mother also came. Qiao Wei did not come. She said she was feeling unwell. No one believes this reason anymore. The mediator first checks the facts. On the wedding day, the groom Shen Jiali notified Wen Tang of the wedding cancellation via text message. The reason for the cancellation was that his ex-girlfriend Qiao Wei was unwell. Wen Tang then announced the annulment of the engagement and completed the wedding ceremony with Pei Yenxing, registering their marriage the next day. Disputes arose over wedding expenses, renovation of the wedding house and loan transactions. Shen Jiali kept his head lowered, but Shen's mother was still putting on a brave front. We admit the impropriety in our handling of the wedding day, but Wen Tang marrying someone else so soon has caused tremendous reputational damage to the Shen family. She cannot only count her own losses. Attorney Qin pushed the documents across the table. Ms. Zhao, reputational damage requires proof. What can be proven now is that Mr. Shen unilaterally called off the wedding and Ms. Wen has preserved the text messages as evidence. Additionally, the Shen family added multiple expenses before the wedding that remain unpaid, and Mr. Shen had also borrowed money from Ms. Wen. Shen's mother looked grim. That's money between the young couple, I said. We're not registered, we're not a young couple. Shen Jiali finally looked up. These words seemed to sting him. He whispered, Tang Tang. I didn't look at him. Attorney Qin continued. Ms. Wen paid 410,000 for the wedding house renovation, with all relevant invoices and transfer records intact. If Mr. Shen keeps the property, he should return the equivalent value. Shen Jiali said, I'll pay them back. Shen's mother looked sharply at him. Jiali, he said wearily. Mom, don't make a scene. This was the first time he had said stop messing around in front of his mother. Unfortunately, it was too late. Shen's mother gritted her teeth. What about Qiao Wei? She was also severely scolded. if when Tang posts things online, shouldn't she be held responsible? Attorney Chin said. Ms. Wen has only published factual evidence. Ms. Qiao was the one who first released false content to direct public opinion against Ms. Wen. Our side reserves the right to pursue legal action. Shen's mother was completely speechless when the mediation was paused. Shen Jili followed her out. Wen Tang, let's talk for a moment. I stand in the hallway. Speak. He looks at me, his eyes filled with exhaustion. I know I was wrong. The day before the wedding, Qiao Wei did tell me she was scared I shouldn't have agreed to her. I asked, why did you agree? He was silent. I answered for him. Because you thought I would wait. His face paled a little. Yes, this time he finally admitted it. I thought you would understand me, thought that even if the wedding was postponed you wouldn't leave because you've always been so understanding. I laughed. Being sensible is not a good thing. His eyes turned red. I just realized that now. No, I said, you didn't just realize it now. You only started being afraid after you found out that I wasn't sensible. His lips moved, but he had no rebuttal. I continued, Shen Jili, it wasn't that you chose wrong between me and Qiao Wei on the wedding day. You had already decided long before that I didn't need to be chosen. He lowered his head. These words cut deeper than any insult. Because it's true. After the mediation ended, Qiao Wei posted another update. This time she stopped pretending to be innocent. She directly said, Shen Jili never truly loved Wen Tang. He had long said that if it weren't for his mother liking Wen Tang's stability, he wouldn't have dragged things out to the wedding. Now everyone is cursing me, but he's the one who promised me a future. Attached below was a screenshot of a chat Shen Jili sent her. I'll handle the wedding. Tang is sensible. Qiao Wei has fought back. Shen Jili was completely frozen when he saw the post. Shen's mother was so angry she nearly fainted. I looked at that screenshot without any surprise. Just save it and forward it to lawyer Qin. Wanxing asked me, does this count as dogs biting dogs? I replied, it counts as evidence. In the evening, Shen Jili was waiting downstairs at my studio. He wasn't holding an umbrella. The rain was pouring heavily. When he saw me, the first thing he said was, I've really broken it off with her. I held my umbrella and looked at him. Congratulations. His eyes turned red. Are you really this calm? I said. Whether you cut ties or not has nothing to do with me. He suddenly smiled bitterly. I finally know how you felt back then. I did not respond. He continued. It really hurts to be seen as someone's backup plan. I nodded. Good that you know. Then I walked around him and entered the building. Behind me he called out to me, Wen Tang, can I still pursue you again? I stopped. I turned around. No. After Qiao Wei turned against Shen Jili, the situation completely spiraled out of control. Shen Jili was thrust into the eye of the storm. Some criticized him for fleeing on his wedding day. Some people accused him of treating both his ex and his fiancée as fallback options. Others dug up photos of the Shen family's once high-profile wedding promotions, mocking him for the groom going missing and the bride remarrying. Shen's home furnishings partners began to wait and see. This is not me striking back. Shen Jili turned his personal breach of trust into a public crisis. Qiao Wei didn't fare any better either. She shared their chat logs, thinking it would prove she had been promised. Instead, netizens only saw that, knowing he was about to get married, she still pressed him with will you come or not. Her account's comment section turned into a disaster zone. You're both guilty. One dares to flee the wedding, the other dares to force it. The female lead remarrying was truly the right choice. Qiao Wei deleted the post again. This time, no one felt sorry for her. When Shen Jili came to see me, he looked as if he had not slept for days. He sat in the studio's reception area, holding a compensation plan in his hand. I'll cover half of the wedding expenses. I'll refund the full renovation cost. As for the money I borrowed from you, I'll pay it back in 3 installments. As for Qiao Wei, I'll make her issue a public apology. I flipped through it. It can serve as a basic plan, but interest, default losses, and compensation for defamation still need to be added. He looked up at me. Wen Tang, saying things like that now really sounds like you're negotiating a business deal. I closed the file, because the emotional part is already over. His face darkened. I continued, Shen Jili, the fact that I'm not cursing at you, crying, or making a scene right now doesn't mean I'm not hurting. It's just that I don't want my pain to become another excuse for you to keep draining me. His eyes turned red. I know. No, you don't know. I looked at him. You've just finally realized that I won't clean up your mess for you anymore." He was silent. In the afternoon, Shin's mother called me. It was the first time since the wedding that she didn't scold me. Her voice was very hoarse. "Tang Tang, let me speak to you honestly. Qiao Wei won't be accepted into the Shin family. Jelly regrets it now too. As for you and Mr. Pei, if this is just out of spite, you should let it go," I said. "It's not out of spite." She grew anxious. "But you've only known each other for such a short time. You and Jelly had 5 years together. So what? Feelings aren't something you can just cut off at will." I paused for a moment. "Aunt Zhao, it's true that feelings aren't something you can just sever. That's why I endured it so many times before the wedding, but on the wedding day itself he severed it for me." She had nothing more to say. I continued, "There's no need for you to persuade me any further. What you truly want isn't a daughter-in-law like me, but someone who would pay the Shin family's bills, clean up Shin Jelly's messes, and preserve your dignity. That person no longer exists." On the other end of the line, there was only the sound of suppressed breathing. I hung up the phone. In the evening, Pei Yenxing came to pick me up. He didn't ask what Shin Jelly and I had talked about. He simply parked the car by the roadside and waited for me to get in on my own. "I fastened my seatbelt," he said. "Tired?" "A little. What do you want to eat?" I thought for a moment. "Hot soup noodles." He smiled. "All right." We went to a very small noodle shop by the roadside. Pei Yenxing, dressed in an expensive suit, looked out of place sitting on a plastic stool. The shop owner's wife glanced at him several times. I couldn't help but laugh. "Not quite used to it, President Pei," he said. "Habits can be cultivated." I lowered my head to eat noodles. The steam rose up to my face. Those things that had been clogging my heart seemed to be slowly smoothed out. Pei Yenxing suddenly said, "Wen Tang, I don't need you to love me right away." I looked up. He gazed at me steadily. "Take your time. You can also keep your boundaries. Our marriage is not a patch for the hurt Shin Jelly caused you." My hand holding the chopsticks paused. He was too accurate. "What I fear most is jumping from one mistake straight into another." But he didn't push me to prove anything. He just put the choice in my hands. I said, "Thank you." He murmured, "No need, just be less polite to me from now on." That night, for the first time, I felt that marrying Pei Yenxing wasn't just an escape from Shin Jelly. It's a door I opened for myself. Shin Jelly asked me to meet at the old church, the very place where we were originally going to have our wedding. I didn't want to go in the first place. Lawyer Ku said that Shin Jelly is willing to sign a formal compensation agreement and needs me to confirm the final terms in person. I went. The auditorium had been cleared out. The red carpet was still there, but the flowers on both sides had been removed. Shin Jelly stood in front of the ceremony platform. He was holding the old wedding ring in his hand. "That ring, I had chosen it myself," he said. "I asked them to keep this place as it was for one day." I looked at him. "There's no need." He gave a bitter smile. "I knew you'd say that." He stepped down from the ceremony platform. "Wen Tang, I've been thinking these past few days, if I hadn't left on the day of the wedding, would we be married by now?" I said. "There is no what if." "I know." He placed the ring in the palm of his hand. "I'm not here to pressure you. I just want to say what I need to say." I didn't interrupt. His voice was hoarse. "I used to think you were too steady, so steady that I never felt the need to worry about you. Qiao Wei was different. She was fragile. She would cry. She made me feel needed. But later I realized it wasn't that you didn't need me. You just hid your needs, not wanting to put pressure on me." Those words came far too late. If he had thought that way just once before the wedding, maybe everything would have been different. I said, "I did need you once." His eyes lit up for a moment. I continued, "But every time you go and take care of others." The light in his eyes went out again. He lowered his head. "I'm sorry. I accept your apology." He jerked his head up. I said, "But not getting back together." He clutched the ring tightly. "Will you and Pei Yenxing really make it work? Whether we do or not is between him and me." His voice trembled. "I'm not reconciled to it." I looked at him. "You're not upset about losing me. You're upset that I didn't stay where I was and wait for you." His eyes turned red. "Maybe both." He was finally a little more honest. I said, "Shin Jelly, over the past 5 years, I've given you many chances. The engagement banquet, the wedding dress shop, the rehearsal, the night before the wedding. Every time you chose her. On the wedding day, I just finally chose myself." He was silent for a long time. Then they handed me the compensation agreement. I signed it. I took it and flipped through. Wedding expense responsibility. The depreciated value of the wedding room renovation shall be refunded. The loan shall be repaid in installments. Qiao Wei's public apology and compensation shall be handled separately. The Shen family shall no longer harass Wen Tang. I'll sign. The moment the pen tip touched the paper, Shen Jiali suddenly said, Wen Tang, could we have one last hug? I looked up. No, he gave a wry smile. Not even the last bit of dignity. I said, dignity isn't given by hugs, it's given by boundaries. He was completely speechless when I walked out of the church. Sunlight fell on the steps. Pei Yanxing's car was parked by the roadside. He hadn't come inside. He was just waiting for me. Shen Jiali looked at him with complicated emotions. Is he really good to you? I said. At least he knows how to wait. Shen Jiali's face turned pale. This sentence was soft, yet it landed right on the most painful spot. I got into the car. Pei Yanxing asked, all done? I nodded. It's over. He drove the car out. I glanced back. Shen Jiali was still standing at the church entrance, clutching the old ring in his hand. He had finally waited once, but the person he was waiting for would never turn back. On the day the court confirmed the mediation agreement, Qiao Wei also came. She wore a mask, her eyes looking haggard. Seeing me, she said in a low voice, Wen Tang, I'm sorry. I looked at her. This time she didn't call me Sister Tang Tang. She didn't cry or claim to be innocent. Lawyer Qin handed her the apology statement. Please publish it as agreed, and keep it for 30 days. Qiao Wei bit her lip and signed. She needs to bear the compensation for spreading rumors and also delete all false content. She asked me, are you satisfied now? I said, no. She was stunned. I said calmly, but it ends here. The word satisfied is too mild. What I lost was a wedding, 5 years of a relationship, and many nights of compromising myself. Compensation cannot fully bring any of that back, but it can tell everyone that I'm not someone to be pushed around. Shen Jiali stood at the other end of the hallway. This time he did not come over, he just watched me from afar. I also glanced at him. No hatred, no love. Just saw a person who was once very familiar but has now drifted far away. After leaving the courthouse, I went to my new studio. A new nameplate hung at the door, Wen Tang Wedding and Ceremony Design Studio. Below it was a line of small text, design life rituals for everyone who earnestly chooses themselves. Wanxing stood at the doorway, cutting the ribbon for me. Congratulations, Boss Wen, on breaking free from that jerk. May your new chapter begin with good fortune. I took the scissors with a smile. Pei Yanxing stood to the side, not trying to steal the spotlight. He simply handed me a bouquet of white lisianthus. Happy opening. I took it. Thank you, Mr. Pei. He raised an eyebrow, still calling me Mr. Pei. I paused for a moment. Yang Xing. He smiled. That was probably the first time I called him by his name naturally. On the day the studio opened, I received a special order. A bride said that she discovered her fiancé had been unfaithful before the wedding and decided to call it off, but wanted to hold a solo ceremony for herself. She said, Ms. When I don't want to get back at anyone, I just want to say a proper goodbye. I looked at her and felt like I was seeing the recently former version of myself. I said, would it be strange? No, I said, a sincere farewell is also a kind of wedding. When I got home in the evening, Pei Yanxing was cooking noodles in the kitchen. He wasn't particularly good at it. The noodles are a bit soft, but the soup is hot. Sitting at the table, I suddenly remembered the text message from the wedding day. Back then I thought I was in the most embarrassing position. Looking back, it was actually fate pushing me toward the exit. If Shen Jiali hadn't sent that text, I might have endured it for much longer, enduring Qiao Wei, enduring Shen's mother. I endured him putting me last again and again. Pei Yanxing placed the noodles in front of me. What are you thinking about? I said, thinking about that day. He sat down. Second thoughts. No. I shook my head. Relief. He looked at me. I said, thank goodness I didn't help him keep the guests calm. Pei Yanxing laughed. You kept yourself steady. The words were soft, yet they warmed my heart. Half a month later, Shen Jiali's final compensation payment arrived. The note was very clear. Compensation for wedding cancellation and renovation costs. I looked at that line of text and did not take a screenshot to post on social media, just transferring the money into the studio account. Wanxing asked me, are you really not going to buy a bag to celebrate? I thought about it. I'll buy one. What are you buying? Floral materials for a set of new wedding sample photos. She laughed and scolded me. Workaholic. I said, not a workaholic. I just want to turn the money from that failed wedding into a new beginning. A year later, I held a wedding for the bride who had had a solo ceremony. She walked down the red carpet alone in a white dress. There was no groom, no parents were forcing her. No one in the audience is waiting to see you fail on the podium. She said to herself, I am willing to love myself. Many people in the audience wept. Standing in a corner, I suddenly understood what I truly want to do is not wedding planning, it is about helping to reconnect the broken parts of a person's life into a dignified ceremony. After the ceremony ended that day, Pei Yenxing came to pick me up. He stood in the sunset and asked, going home? I walked toward him. Return. This time I am very sure home is not a retreat given to me by anyone. Home is a place I am still willing to walk into after making a conscious choice.